In the shadow of decay I rise, typhus the herald beneath poison skies. With Nurgle's rot I lay walls to waste, the Reaper's scythe no life can escape. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth I spread the plague with a twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of death, God where despair flows. I am the harbinger, the bringer of disease. In Nurgle's name I spread death with ease. Nestled walls with me hand in hand, rivers of filth drown the land. I am typhus, master of decay. In the name of ruin I claim the day. The Empyrean's light crumbles to dust. Wherever I tread, rock consumes the just. Space hulks reek of a foul rebirth, carriers of plague across the cursed earth. Beneath the flies, beneath the filth I spread the plague with a twisted will. From festering wounds, corruption grows in the heart of death, God where despair flows. I am the harbinger, the bringer of disease. In Nurgle's name I spread death with ease.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Disgustingly Resilient podcast with me, Death God Dave, and my main man, Aiden Smurley. How you doing?
I'm good, Dave. You have a good Christmas? You're looking a little different there.
Is it noticeable?
No.
I mean, I might have eaten a few mince pies. I don't know, but like, have I ever done it?
I mean, in the nicest way possible.
Yeah.
You used to look like a Cancabon, and now you resemble a bit more a Rotigus.
Yeah. I think maybe a few too many of.
I think that might be the problem. Yeah, that might be the thing there, Dave.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that this is our new line of 25XL hoodies, which are really nice.
Didn't know you got sorted.
So, yeah, mostly because I needed one. This is actually 4 of the old ones stitched together.
Oh, okay, so you just decided to work on that and just implement it as an actual product. That is a great idea, because I imagine, like yourself, you're probably not the only one that's slightly indulged over the holiday break.
No.
But
it was fun.
Yeah, and knowing your metabolism, Dave, given like the next 4 minutes or something like that, probably the next time you go off camera for like half a second, you'll probably have lost the weight when you come back.
Yeah. I might actually just need to visit the bathroom quickly. Hold on
that's fine. I'll hold down the stream. Honestly, what can you do? You can't get the people, can you? How is everybody doing?
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Just after Christmas, you do a quick workout, right? And then you get back in shape.
I hate you so much. Jokes aside, everybody, hello and welcome back to an episode of the Disgusting Resilient podcast. And a little bit of a break it's been, hasn't it, Mr. Dave?
Yeah, it's been a bit of a break. We were saying to Aiden, I know it's only been a week and a bit, but I feel like we've been kind of off the air for a while. So very nice to be back with you all. And I mean, we couldn't have got any closer to end of year, could we?
Literally pushing it just right to the end there. Technically could have been tomorrow, but I doubt a lot of people are probably going to be conscious probably around this time tomorrow night.
Yeah, I would say so.
Or at least in a manner where they're willing to sit down and to listen to some people chat for an hour.
Yeah, I think they would be on the very last day of the year. Is the thing I want to do listen to Aiden, Dave, and Will talk nonsense?
So some it might be yes. You never know.
To some it might be. Actually, this is true. For some it might be like spend time with a weird uncle who I haven't seen in 25 years, or watch some people I like on the internet.
You never know. You never know. Well, speaking of people that might be interested in that, we've got Mr. Mason 859 C2M, who just became a Plague Marine, so maybe that kind of support there is the kind of person that will stick around for our New Year's stream. But thank you so much for the support there, Mr. Mason. Really
Thank you very much. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it is though. However, as we continue to then sort of New Year's coming to an end, we've obviously had a bit of a holiday break. Thank you, obviously, for bearing with us during our just over a week off. We appreciate you guys being fine with it. Still lots of activity going on the Discord, obviously, from people. Lots of people saying we're having lots of Christmas gifts that came in. Did you get any Christmas gifts, Mr. I don't tend to get Warhammer Christmas gifts. I tend to just half of the things.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think I've kind of got all the Warhammer I'm allowed to have with Death Guard. So, but yeah, no, nothing Death Guard related. But did get lots of other nice things from people, which was good. And my daughter obviously got ridiculously spoiled by my wife, who basically kept having, how like there's all the memes of a Warhammer fan getting boxes delivered and trying to hide them.
Yeah,
it was like the reverse of that, but with things like Cinderella giant light up automated kind of like moving carriages and stuff, where she'd be like, I haven't bought her any more presents. No, I haven't. It's
it's like, what's that there then? It's like, nah.
Yeah, what's in that box? It's 12 feet long. Like...
Oh, actually, tell a lie, Mr. Dave. I have actually. It wasn't a present, but today, Mr. Online Oliver, who we know is obviously a member of our Discord and been here for quite a while, and he's a lovely chap and lives near me and takes me to events and all that good stuff. He actually today used, in his own words, he used the powers of his own autism, his own words, to remember that a random conversation we had like months ago, I made a fleeting comment about how I'm really sad I never got to buy the Forge World doors for Land Raider doors specifically for the Death Guard ones that matched the ones that I've got from my Rhino. I never picked up the Land Raider ones, and then they discontinued them. He remembered this out of the blue. It's not been mentioned for months, like 8 months or so. He's in the chat right now, and he scrolling through eBay, sees them, instantly sends me the link, and I managed to pick them up today for 25 quid. I am buzzing. I finally got them. Literally, I've been looking for them for like 3-4 years at this point. I'm absolutely buzzing. So I finally got my Land Raider. Amazing. Finally got the doors to match the rest of my Rhinos that are going to arrive. So it's going to look. Nice. I'm going to be very, very happy little bunny. So no crazy haul for me, but that was a nice little. That was the star on the top of the Christmas tree for me.
I'd like to thank a member of the community as well, because the two Chaos Spawn that I have that are like the
meatballs.
Like, the ruptured testicles, which everyone really liked and got loads of good comments on VT when I've been on there with them. I posted that I've never seen them again, and it escapes me right now, and I will look it up and find you. But someone in chat said, in the Discord said, "Oh, these are from X." So I immediately jumped on eBay with that search, and I managed to pick up another 3. So I've now got three. I've now got 3 twos of that style of Chaos Spawn. So whoever that was, if for any reason you're in the chat, thank you very much for flagging that, because I did actually manage to pick up some more of them. So
do they have any more of them? Because I might pick some up if they got more of them.
I'll find what the search was, but yeah, there was they were the ones I bought were the only ones that I could see on eBay at the time, but I've now got a full set of them.
So now you have the actual name for whatever it is, the model.
I can find it again. Yeah, I'll find it on a search. But it was really good. That's very, very pleased with that.
Exact happy days. Look at that, everyone getting them rare finds out of the way. That's pretty nice.
And because people are in our Discord.
Yes, and because we have an awesome community that is obviously on the lookout, trying to appease us as the good peasants they are.
100%. Like they're like, what are they looking for? Find it for them.
Thank you, minion. But yeah, obviously, as we were saying, then sort of hopefully people in the chat have obviously you guys either got some hauls yourself, or maybe you just managed to put some time aside over Christmas, get a bit of time off work, maybe get some hobby progress done. Hope you guys have all sort of enjoyed yourself. And managed to get some goodies if you do celebrate. If not, I just hope you've enjoyed like a sort of break if your place closed down, whatever. So yeah, obviously the year's been a bit crazy, this one coming out. Obviously we're sort of winding down the year coming for 2026. It's obviously we got 500 worlds, and Definitely didn't entirely leak the next one today because some guy couldn't contain himself on a camera. So we know there's a narrative campaign obviously coming at the moment. Now, the narrative campaigns can be quite interesting. We've obviously seen it before, Dave. But it does depend if this is going to be like Psychic Awakening, where they instantly stated that every faction's going to get something. Now, they haven't said that this year, so there's a good chance.
No, they haven't.
Death Guard might not be in the campaign books, which is, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. It is what it is. We've still got an awesome book anyway, so we've still got plenty of playstyles that are valid and varied and whatnot. But it does mean that potentially, as is right now, I honestly don't see Death Guard getting many changes. I don't we already said in the previous stream, the next balance data slate is probably going to be the last one for the edition. Good chance it is anyway. I think they're just going to not rock the boat too much, probably with Death Guard. They're just going to fix probably the outliers, Ultramarines, things like that, and kind of leave Death Guard where it is. Even though I'd like to see a few changes, but it does mean that 2026 coming up, we've got a new edition potentially on the horizon. Now, it's very exciting. Now, do bear in mind, me and Dave, even though we have worked with GW in the past, we genuinely don't know anything about this. We have no NDA anymore. Our NDA was only for the Death Guard Codex and the World Eaters one, weirdly, which I'm pretty sure they weren't supposed to send us, but they sent it us by accident. They were like, sign this now. You've seen it already. Sign the paperwork. So with that brings a new edition, a lot of new changes, and obviously we have some thoughts in our head that we'd like to see potentially going forward, or things that we'd hope to come in from the next edition, and also sort of how we're going to see out the current edition, because it's like I said, we're in a weird state now. I'm not really I won't lie, and it's not because of the game or anything all like that. I'm passionate. It's just I've not got the biggest drive to go to events at the moment. I'm not going to lie, Mr. Dave. And it's not just anything to do with Death Guard or power level or anything like that. I think it's just because the first sort of season that this edition was in Thingy, I obviously got World number 1. I was absolutely buzzing with that one. Decided to take a bit of a different approach for this season, just try and play every detachment, which I've still got to finish off with Mortarian's Hammer. The one I've been avoiding because I genuinely just don't find it interesting.
Yeah, no worries. So you did for me too. I think I'd go back to your 500 Worlds point first. The interesting thing about that as a book and a product is, if you look in the lore, obviously Mortarion and the Death Guard assault the 500 Worlds at a point. So, and there's some of the worlds that remain lost to the Ultramarines, and the planets are ruined by Nurgle and by the Death Guard's plague. So, there's a bit of me that kind of hopes that GW may dip back to that, perhaps, that there is some areas where Nurgle and Death Guard is still present somewhere in the 500 Worlds, and that we may therefore see some action, which I'd be pleased to see. Totally agree with you on 11th, though. I think it's I think we're probably unlikely to see any further changes to Death Guard for the rest of the edition, because it's I think we're probably, as a later codex in the sets that came out, was right, you guys are kind of you're here for now. We're going to worry about getting the all the changes to the fundamental basics of Warhammer and 40k that we want to implement coming up, and whoever the last of the table were will probably see a few more changes, and there might be a few clean up hygiene elements with some other factions. And then when that launches, we go back into the whole cycle again of probably there'll be some big I would assume there'll be some big effective data slate or the like of, which will be here are the adjustments to make things work in how 11 now fundamentally works, and some changes to data sheets and core rules and all that stuff. And then we go into it. So yeah, I think it's I think that's my anticipation of how 11th's going to go. And then in terms of kind of getting out and playing stuff at the minute, it's I think it's weird, isn't it? You always have this when you're at the end of an edition. It's which for me has only been 9th into 10th. For me, seeing it, I started playing halfway through 9th.
I've had 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. So
I had a few. So but even with that, I'm a bit I think knowing that things are probably quite settled. It's it's I'm kind of in more anticipation of going. Give me the information around what I've got to start thinking about and start planning for, and then let me spend some time building on that going into 11th. Yeah. So, I'm kind of with you. I think what I will do if I go and play some events is that it'll be more. I would just take what I think is fun.
Yes, that's sort of where I'm at.
Yeah. I'm not going to go into the events before 11th being right, I'm going to go hyper competitive. I'm going to be I will go and do some events and go and play and have fun.
Yeah, and just a quick one for chat, because I see some questions. We'll answer them in a second. So tonight's stream, just because we're sort of getting back into it. This is a bit more of just a hangout and chat with us. The sort of the next edition, the next year is sort of like just general topic. But feel free to leave any questions in chat, and because there's a few people in the chat now, which I do want to address because they're basically saying like that this will be their first ever sort of edition change. And obviously there are some people saying like, is there anything I should be worried about? So first question we'll do here from is it Eli Jason or Eli Jason? Says,
Eli Jason, yeah.
Is there a lot of changes in 11th? We should be worried about. I've never experienced a new edition drop with an army already. Do they usually significantly change lists for Death Guard? Audio is cutting for me too. That is strange. It shouldn't be cutting out. The turn of table, and I can definitely do that.
Is it all the audio, or is it mine, or is it Aiden's?
I'm not having. Let me check. What's this? Nope, that's fine. That's fine. I'm not getting notifications for lag or anything like that. Audio's been out for the past 3 minutes. Just make sure you refresh your browsers. Yeah. Because all my streams telling me that things are fine. Audio's being picked up from Dave. Audio's being picked up from me.
Yeah, refresh browser. For people who wouldn't mind, refresh. If you're having an issue, refresh your browser, and then we'll it sounds like a lot of people can hear fine.
Yeah, if it was on our end, it would be affecting everybody. So like just reset your browser. YouTube can be weird sometimes. It's
I don't think people would be shouting, "I can't hear anything."
Yeah, hopefully. So to go back to Eli's question. So when editions change, there's usually one or two things happens. So the first one is the big reset. Now this is what we saw coming into the edition of 10th edition, and it was the same from 7th to 8th. Now the big reset is basically where the game at its core fundamentally changes. Now all the armies stay around, but basically all the current rules get absolutely thrown in the bin. Your codex gets thrown in the bin. You're basically given a free downloadable PDF to play with until such a time as when your codex comes out, because they don't all come out at the same time. Now, that being said, they normally do a sort of full edition reset every other edition. It's not like... so it won't be... There's never really been like a 9th is a full reset, 10th is a full reset. So, for example, 7th into 8th was a full reset, but 9th was just a continuation of 8th, and then 9th to 10th was a full reset. So it tends to be like 2 editions in a trot, tend to be sort of carry on from each other, and then there's a full reset. So I'm expecting, obviously I can't promise you anything because we don't genuinely know anything, but the Whispers of the Warp, should we say, are also tending to lean towards the idea it's probably just going to be like a continuation. So what's likely to happen is, like Dave said, they might update certain rules on certain units via downloadable PDFs to maybe like if there's a core rule change. So maybe they did come out and say like, there's no such thing as a 6-inch deep strike charge anymore. They might change the rule on Death Shroud datasheet to something completely different. But it's mainly what's going to be happening is going to be a tightening up likely of the core rules. So a lot of the things that are currently found in FAQs or had to have been balance data slated in will just be printed in the core rules of think of it more like a 10.5 edition if it is more of a rollover.
I think so.
Now that doesn't mean though you're going to be stuck with the same codex. They will still, as they always do, they will release a new codex for every faction in addition. I don't think there's of the recent editions, you always get a new codex every edition.
You always get a new one, yeah.
So we will get some new stuff. They will change things because obviously they need to change. It'll get very stale if things don't change. So things will change, but I would say in terms of like an army and like a list, I think the only things you have to really be worried about. So anything that's a genuine unique Death Guard sculpt, I am pretty damn sure to say is safe. All the Death Guard sculpts themselves are new, relatively speaking, for Warhammer terms anyway. In general, they're actually pretty new, but like again, in Warhammer terms, a 20-year-old model is still legal. So I don't see don't worry about getting anything like your Plague Marines are going to get a new sculpt. I can promise you that's not happening. Your Death Shroud are going to get a new sculpt. Your Typhus, nope. Mortarion, nope. The things that you kind of got to look out for, I'm not going to say worry, because Rhinos fall into this. It's not like the old shared Chaos kits, but Rhinos aren't going anywhere. I'll tell you that right now. Rhinos will, even if you bring out a new Rhino kit, you can still use your Rhino. It'll just be a nicer looking, more modern Rhino, but it'll still, at its core, be a giant box with spikes on it. So the only thing you've really got to be careful of are the more eccentric out there kits, like Defilers, things like that. They could be taken away from us. I'm not saying they are, But they're the ones that, if I was to say these carry a risk, if you were new to the game right now and you're worried about the reset of an edition, just buy the Death Guard sculpts for now, and Rhinos. You can always buy Rhinos. So like, just be a little careful with Predators and Defilers. That's about it. And even Predators, I'm pretty sure, are fairly safe.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be panicking too much. Demons is a weird one because of how they treated demons this edition. I don't know what your opinion is on demons there, Dave.
I think the only thing I was going to add was the only, and I don't see it happening in the same way, but we saw a culling of units to Legends into 10th, which were viable until the end of 9th, and I think they did that on a very large scale. So I don't personally expect us to see anything like that on the same scale. Like you said, Aiden, I think the more eccentric hits, like a Defiler, might be the more on the end of stuff that could be risky, or things that haven't been touched for a while. Maybe I don't know. It's maybe a Hellbrutes, potentially on that kind of thing. But like you said, all the core stuff is not going away. It shouldn't fundamentally change what you're doing with your list and how you're playing them. I think there's. But yeah, demons has always been a weird one. I can't see them removing them from the game, but they have kind of marginalized them in a way to be like, unless you're playing pure demons, you've now got one detachment in which you can put them in, and you can only put in 1,000 points.
Yeah, so I mean, my fear for demons is still the one I had for a while, which is and again, this edition kind of proves it to me. They were intending to remove demons and just have them in the God Codexes as like an attachment thing.
Yep.
But then, given that the kickback they got from the Deathwatch being removed, because bear in mind, Deathwatch were removed originally, they were just rolled into a single unit in Imperial Agents, and the kickback they got off that, and now bear in mind, Chaos Demon players and Deathwatch players in quantity are vastly, there's way more Demons players than Deathwatch players. And Deathwatch managed to kick off enough of a shit show that they got their army basically put back into the game via a downloadable PDF. I think seeing this, they actually was like, shit guys, we can't drop demons. We're going to make so many people mad. So they did the Grotmas thing where they released 4 different attachments for demon players. Mm-hmm. So I think they originally were intending to basically new to demons down to just God Codexes, but I think they may have U-turned on that, and we could see them returning to their own codex as well as still being allies. Like I think demons and chaos marines have always kind of been able to play with each other.
They've always coexisted.
Yeah, they've always coexisted, especially like your god specific ones. Like I'm not going to say you can run a bloodthirster with your death guard, even though you used to like potentially be able to do that. But you know, these days you should fairly be safe with like some of the Great Unclean one and whatnot. But just understand it's probably going to be in the same sort of way it's been done this edition, where it'll be like a single detachment. I would love to see them be taking a detachment, but they will more than likely just keep it to one to stop any weird interactions. It's easier for them to control the power of the demons impact on an army if it's just limited to the one detachment. Like if demons were a problem in Death Guard, it's you can just nerf Taliban and you can fix it without damaging the rest of Death Guard, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I just want to call out as well. I'm sorry, Space Goose 11B, member for 17 months.
Oh, hell yeah.
So thank you very, very much. That's really, really grateful for the support. Thank you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, what's going to look... The only other thing I thought maybe we might see of 11 is, like you said, as a 0.5, is obviously they took it out, but, Force Org went away. Yes. Like, will they... do we think they might revisit something like that, or go, actually, the new way for you to structure your armies is now this version?
So, well, let's get into them. So let's have a few ideas of what they could bring back for 11th edition. And Force Org is a great place to start. So for those who are new to the edition, or new to the game this edition, welcome to Warhammer. but before this edition, we, as you know, right now we have battle line units. Well, back in previous editions, their battle line were not a choice; they were compulsory. I think it used to be 3 battle line units you used to have to take compulsory. So the minimum your army had to include is 1 HQ choice, which is leader these days, and 3 battle line equivalent. They were called troops back in the day, but now they're called battle line units. So, for example, if you wanted to play Death Guard right now, as it is, because battle line is only Plague Marines outside of Shamble Rot, you would have to start your list with at least 3 squads of 5 Plague Marines and a character if you're using the old rules. That could be something we see potentially bring back. I don't know how I'd feel about that one, Mr. Dave, because I'm a Plague Marine enjoyer. Like I think battle line troops are important to the game because I think outside of them just being dirt point cheap and having the extra pip of OC, a lot of armies just kind of tend to overlook them and just go straight into elites because the elites just tend to outperform the standard guys, point for point.
Totally.
But at the same time, do you think that enforcing battle line units on people is also fun at the same time? Because the problem is that if you have an army, like we're lucky as Death Guard, that if we had this restriction put on us right now, Plague Marines are actually good. But there are armies out there where the battle line choices are just trash, trash, or trash. And then you have to start every list you make with 3 bad units, minimum.
And a committed point sink before you get into stuff you want to take.
Yeah, because I mean, imagine it for knights, for example, like an Armiger. Would you have to have minimum 3 Armigers in your army at that point.
Yep.
So it can feel a little rough. But I also did like the idea like every army should have its rank and file troops. So my lore heart goes for the wanting the battle line back, but my like gameplay / people having the freedom to make the lists.
Freedom.
Because like imagine you're wanting to make like a full mechanized. I mean, mechanized not probably the best word because you can take rhinos obviously, but you want like a full you want to play Deathlord's Chosen, you want to play full Terminators, Mortarian, and now you've got to take 3 squads of Plague Marines as well. You just be like,
exactly.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Would you enjoy it back or?
I mean, I quite liked it when they brought it in. I think it actually did a really interesting thing to the meta at the time, because suddenly people were like, I can't just take, solidly all this core, like you said, pure elite, or I can't just take all tanks, or I had to actually tone it down with this, and it was a little bit of a way of putting a leash on the extreme skew, which we saw in a lot of lists. But I do agree with you in that I think people should be able to build lists and build armies. They're having the freedom to just go, I've got 2,000 points. I can't have more than 3 of anything. Cool. Okay. Well, I can with that one restriction, I can build pretty much anything, and I think it allowed for a lot of diversity. However, I think it is an interesting way for GW to control the structure of the game and to restrict, maybe abuse that can come out quite easily and when we see it, right? We see waves of these lists that come through that can then just be, net listed, and anyone who's running it, who's fairly competent in the basics of the game, can then suddenly kind of get pretty far in an event regardless. Yeah. I think we saw it back in the day, right? When it was like with Custodians, you could be like, I need 30 models.
Yeah, you say
and I can go 4 on 1.
Yeah, just run at someone, roll 4 ups, GG, cool, have fun.
Yeah, cool. And it does control stuff like that.
Yeah. So true. I mean, unfortunately, in that instance, Shield guarded our battle line.
Unfortunately, in that instance,
you get rid of the 10-man squads for a reason. That was a different problem. But it would stop it would stop the triple either. It would stop the ease of triple warden bricking, because you've at least got to bring the free Shield guard along.
Exactly.
Now, the other way that they could go about this is, there used to be extra incentives for battle line units. So battle line units back in the day used to be able to get certain rules which would allow them to like advance and still do actions, which is really cool, or advance and shoot all the time, which is equivalent to just giving everything assault these days. And then a really interesting one, which hasn't been in the game for quite a while, and there'll be some people in here who's been playing for a while who'll know what it is. Objective secured. So basically, back in the day, objectives used to be, there was no OC. You either were a model on a point, and you were 1, and that's it. You counted as 1. Tank 1, infantry 1. Yeah. But there used to be a rule called objective secured. Now, what objective secured is so imagine as if you had a Plague Marine, and the battle line unit, which the Plague Marine would have objective secured. Now, objective secured would basically give him OC infinite. He could never be out controlled by anything that wasn't also objective secured. So if you had a single Plague Marine on a point with objective secured, and your opponent had 99 models on that point, somehow, none of them were objective secured, you would still hold the objective, because the idea being like the rank and file troops, their entire point is to capture objectives. So it would give them sort of like that extra like sort of role in the game. Now the problem people had with this is they didn't like it when they didn't take any battle line units, and then they cried like a bitch when the 5 tanks that were stood on a point got out-OC'd by a single guy. To which I reply, cry more.
An objective on the other side of a wall with one guy and be like...
To which I reply, cry more.
Bring battle line.
So there is an option of potentially doing that, but again, they could go the more midway route where it's like you can still action and advance and things like that, which would also still be good. Just some way to basically incentivize battle line units being extra good at playing the mission or the objective, because I think, like, again, these guys are not bringing the heaviest hitting guns. These aren't your line breakers. These are your rank and file, hold the point, score the point. So I'd like to see those guys get extra benefits to be able to do sort of actions and things like that. That'd be really cool. Like if they could do what knights do, it's like battle units can action and still shoot. That used to be a pretty good one, because then you could drive a rhino, get onto an objective, cleanse it, and then shoot the squad that was on it off it. That'd be really cool. So like just extra incentive. Now again, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, because Plague Marines are actually good. So
you're actually good at that.
It would make Plague Marines like extra spicy, which they probably don't need. But again, it would nice to see it all for the other factions. Like again, in my Votan I'll play like Hearthkin warriors, just being able to move them up, still pop off a random railgun shot whilst doing an action. Just makes them feel a little less bad to take, because they're not the greatest battle line. So yeah, that'd be quite cool. And again, OC2 is really good when you have it and you do notice it, but you still are instances where you're still getting out OC'd because certain elite units, Matrix Guard, have OC2 even though they probably shouldn't. So there is that. Now, someone in the chat said one thing they would like to see is it'd be nice if 4-up invulnerables were not literally everywhere. I agree with this. I would like to see 4+ invulnerables sort of toned down a lot, because I do feel like a lot of the games right now come down to, here's my 4-up invulnerable unit, here's your 4-up invulnerable unit, let's see who fails more 4-ups. And it can feel a bit weird. I don't know how I feel about 4-up invulnerables. Sometimes I feel like they're essential, because like I'm thinking right now, if my Death Shroud, for example, had a 5-up invulnerable, they'd just like die super quick.
I think 4-ups should be in the right places.
Yes.
And Death Shroud are a unit that I know of course I would say this because I love them, but like they are a unit that should have it, right? These 10,000-year-old cataphracti bodyguarding the Primarch Terminators have a 4-up, like, that's fine. However, some dude in power armor just sauntering around the battlefield on his own should not have a 4-up invuln.
Yes, I agree. And like an old thing, even like things like Sanguinary Guard, who used to have just a 2-up armor save because they had Artifice around, but they had no invulnerable, because the lore is that they couldn't fit on the Iron Halo because the jump packs and the mobility and whatnot. Like again, it just kind of like it made them have to play them a bit differently, because it was a really scary unit that was still resilient to small arms fire, but didn't have the chunk and the heft of a Terminator. You could still die to plasma and melters, whereas the Terminators would obviously trade that speed, because obviously they're nowhere near as fast anyway, but to have that fallback of that 4+ invulnerable. So like I would like to see things like that. That would be quite cool. I honestly, like, personal one for me that I'd like to see be done is that I would like to see the transport inny outy thing just become a core rule. Like, if you disembark from a transport, you can't get back in it either that turn or that battle round. I am fine if someone's been out of a transport for a while and I've had a chance to react to that, and if I force a reactive move, like if I walk near them and I actively choose to trigger that reactive move and then they get back in the transport, that's fine, because I had a say over it. But what I don't like is when you hop out, shoot, and hop straight back in. Like, that is just lame as hell. Super uninteractive. Or even if there's, like, something to... and like, there's a lot of things to do with ruins. Like, terrain is a massive thing that needs to, like, be talked about. Because, like, being able to, like, embark on one side of the wall, re-embark behind the transports on the other side of the wall.
Yep.
It's all a bit funny. So I'd like to see that get fixed. Now, we do have a super chat. Do you want to read that one out, Mr. Dave?
Yeah. So Patrick Dillian 500, thank you very much for the super chat. $7.77. Just said, we need a war style rule for DG. Every time a unit deadly demises, we get to rip a pants soiling fart. So I mean, yeah, it's a good rule. I like it. He said, this has been my 11th edition TED Talk.
That should be a detachment, I think. I think it should be a detachment of Marines that, like, I don't know, Taco Tuesday Marines, it's just like
Taco Tuesday.
All your models getting deadly demise one.
At the end of the night outside Taco Bell in the parking lot. That'd be their power.
Yeah, I wanted to say everything has deadly demise 1, and if it already has deadly demise, it deadly demises on a 4-up instead of a 6-up.
Yeah. I think there's there's a load of interesting points in this, right? I think that someone else much further up in the chat said, do we think that 11th will be less lethal?
Think or hope.
The problem is this game goes in waves, and I've said it for months, but since our Codex came out, but our Codex was a stepping off point in lethality escalating in this game, and it's that I think we're going to roll into 11th with high lethality still. Now, you could do interesting things with it by some of the bits we've talked about tonight. Is you could change some of the rules which force you to have to take more of the units that are not so lethal in this instance. So therefore, your army naturally is going to be less damaging because it's not full of elites and it's not full of tanks or giant things to kill everything. So that's a way of the game being toned down without having to change every single rule in the entire game. But is my gut feel that it's going to be less lethal for a while? No.
Yeah, I think I agree. And my concern is as well is I slightly have a concern that I think the lethality is just going to get worse. And I'm not trying to be a doomer here, but my only thing is like you when you redo the books, obviously you're going to release new codexes for 11th edition. They need to be, when you want them to be, improvements on the 10th edition version, because no one's going to be hyped if you get your codex. Yeah, you're not going to be exactly very hyped if your codex is just what you had before, but worse, like with less rerolls, with less lethality. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one how they sort of tackle it. I am actually quite interested to see how they're going to tackle it. Because again, also the same question is, if they do just decide to make it even more lethal, like how do you even approach that? Like, because you're going to give even more things like lethal sustained. Like, I already feel like like, if you want my personal opinion, like as much as I love 10th edition, I do feel like it has some flaws. One of them being that I think units just have too many attacks, like just in general. Like back in the day, like a Marine had one attack in melee, and if you had a melee weapon and a pistol, like a chainsaw and a pistol, you would get an extra attack. And now, bear in mind, when you used to charge, you used to get an extra attack, which was your incentive for charging, but you didn't used to automatically fight first back then if you charge. So there's a trade-off. But now we're at a point where like we've got like assault necessors with like 4 attacks each. Like even if you play the new Blood Angels, got 5 attacks each if they battle shock themselves, which is like and then again, if they do that, then they can use the strap, which also gives them +1 AP, +1 strength, and it's like, whoa, all these things, and then the rerolling ones to wound. It just like the stacking layers of buffs is crazy. And like you've got repulsors, which like 18 defensive array shots for just killing random chaff models. Like I feel like, honestly, like if you could just get all, like even the bolt gun, like the bolt gun is a terrible weapon. Like I'm not gonna say the bolt gun is good, but even right now, the bolt gun used to be 1 shot or 2 if you were within 12 inches. Now it's just 2 all the time, and it's still bad.
And maybe yeah.
But like again, it's that sort of like more dice are still being rolled all the time, and I just feel like bubonic weapons, for example, like so you have bubonic weapons for Plague Marines. It gives them the AP. And it gives them strength 5. Like, that alone, realistically, should be enough of an incentive to take bubonic weapons. The fact that they'll get a plus extra attack as well is like, do they need the extra attack? Like, strength 5 and 2 AP on your melee is already good incentive. But again, this also comes to another problem. And it's not a problem. Again, it's the way they go about it, which is granular points. And I do wonder if we're going to see the return of granular points for war gear.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm gonna you chat for a second. I'm gonna put a poll up in the chat because I would love to know people's actual opinion on this.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, you said that. It's a very timely thing.
Just to explain granular points, because some people who've played just this edition won't even understand what we're on about.
So I'll just read this point and then this statement up from Eli Jason. I'll do that. Eli Jason said, "I think characters that grant the 4++, 4 up involved to anyone who's a bit newer, that should cost points." So this leads into this. So what Aiden's talking about in terms of granular points is, you used to go, I have a unit and I want to give it, like you give a character an enhancement, I want to give it these weapons, or I want to. So you'd be like, if you had a dreadnought with 2 arms, do you want to put different weapons on it? Those weapons cost different points. And what it actually meant you had to do then was, you weren't just balancing, you weren't just plonking in units and being like, cool, is it close to 2,000? I've got 20 points left at the end. So you're making one decision about, can I squeeze in an extra unit or can I get an enhancement? What you actually end up having to do was plan really carefully that I'm going to take 10 Plague Marines and I want to give them these weapons, and then that added points onto all the Marines that were capable of taking different weapons and vehicles that you wanted to put different kind of configurations on. That meant you had to claim points to get those. So if you wanted to go super lethal, it cost you more on a model by model basis to upgrade them with better weapons that were more lethal. But then that naturally meant you had less units on the table and therefore would have a harder time playing the game. And you'd have other people who would just go, I'm going to take tons of the basic stuff with nothing because I'm going to try and swarm the board, or I'm going to try and just make sure I outlast my opponent through that. And that added a whole new interesting layer in terms of, for those of you who really like list crafting, that added a whole new world of coming up with new things. and it added a whole new layer to, not just taking the list that's out there, because you could go, you know, I like to play it this way. The only downside to it all, though, from a cost perspective, was you had to have, for tournaments that were very specific about being WYSIWYG, so that's what you see is what you get, representing the models exactly, which you had to then make sure that everything you want to take is capable to be taken. So either magnets for your best friend, very small ones for certain models, or you just had the right permutations of stuff. So that was the kind of downside to it. But I quite liked it being granular on that front, because I liked spending the time in the run up to an event coming up with what I was going to take, making sure, putting the models out like, I've got range here, I've got close combat here, I've got mid range there, I've got my trash units to kind of hold that, which I don't care about. I'm not going to kit them out, and it just gave you that extra kind of engagement with the hobby, I think.
Yeah, so I personally like Wargear, but again, I started the hobby in a time when Wargear was a thing. I think there's a middle ground they could potentially do, because obviously I understand like the ease of them not wanting to do it, but there is fundamentally a reason why we see certain things get taken and certain things never get taken, and it is down to like, I'm paying the exact same points for this. Why would I ever take the shit weapon? Bolters is the perfect example in Plague Marines. Why would you ever take a bolter? You have no reason to ever take a bolter. So, like, for me, for example, like, I personally would rather have the points, because I do feel like, again, I would love to be able to take a 70-point bare bones squad of Plague Marines with just bolters, just to do objectives and hold things. That'd be great. I understand people don't want to sit there and, like, again, especially for certain units, like Plague Marines were a nightmare for it because we have so many special weapons. But I feel like they could reach a halfway where, for example, like 10 Guardsmen, I don't think you need to put the points on for 10 Guardsmen.
No, here's a default loadout.
Yeah, take whatever you want, because we're going to assume you're going to take a special weapon and a heavy weapon, because they can take them, like, and again, it's a Guardsman squad, like, it doesn't matter that much. But when it comes to things like repulsors, for example, when you have the Laser Destroyer or the Plasma Exterminator, like, I've never seen a fucking Plasma Exterminator in my goddamn life, because you always just hit the Laser Destroyer, just flat out better. So I would just like to see it be like, hey, on this thing, I'm not asking you to pay for every defensive array you've got, like little extra smoke launcher, everything, but just to say, hey, if you're going to swap out the main gun to the Laser Destroyer, it's 10 points. Like, that is all it has to be.
There's a way to do it, like you said, that is that's really nicely done in the UI in the app, which is like, you either want the base configuration, or you want like option, like whatever you give it a name, right? But it'd be like, or you want that configuration. So you want melee Plague, you want standard loadout Plague Marines, melee Plague Marines, or shooting Plague Marines, and it's like there are 3 options, and then you just have a pull down menu in the app or whatever. It would just there is a middle ground to it. That doesn't mean you have to go in line by line going, left arm, melee weapon, this, and a plasma gun on this guy. Next Plague Marine, this. Like, there's a way to do it.
Yeah, again, I don't think it's really a problem for Death Guard, like apart Plague Marines, because Plague Marines are a very strange unit in armory, because it's the only thing that has tons of weapon options. But you think about other units, Blow Drones are already split up now. Mower and Flamer do not need a points disparity. They're good enough together, close enough, and like rough performance. One has certain advantages, the other one has certain advantages and disadvantages. So they're both good. That's fine. But like, outside of Plague Marines, I don't feel like there's anything in our army specifically. You could argue like, do las cannon sponsons need to be higher cost than heavy bolter sponsons? I don't think so, because when we actually look at them, like, they do perform it's like the las cannon is not just superior in every single aspect. Like, no. The heavy bolters have play. And I think that's the only time I want to see Point Wargear, is when one option is so superior.
It's definitely better, yeah.
Yeah, like, you will never, ever see the other option. I don't think we need to go back.
Guys can have knives, or they can have chainswords.
Yes. Like, and I agree as well. I think right now as well, it's a problem I have with Primaris Marines in general, but I don't find them as interesting. Like, having squads that are just the same gun on everyone, like a Hellblast squad, it's just a plasma gun on everyone. I don't like that either, because I get it's probably easy to balance. It's like, well, it's 5 squads of plasma guns, but like, I don't know. I like the idea of having like a squad and being like, that's the guy with a plasma gun, that's the guy with the melter gun, that's Big Jones at the back with a big 200 axe. So I just want to see it really for like we said there, those sort of options where there's some like key. You could see them. They keep doing this thing where they split in data sheets. I know people in the chat are saying that. And
People saying it, yeah.
It does kind of work to a degree, but I also, and again, a great another segue here. We're going to segue again. A problem I have with that is when we split the data sheets up, sometimes we create a problem where people can just spam too much shit. So, for example, if the HBL drones and the fated blood drones being split is good in terms of rules. The problem is when we came out, they were so cheap. Now, not only can you bring 3 bloat drones and up to 6 haulers, you can bring 6 bloat drones because you can have each variant. And the same is true for Wolfen, for example. And you can have 3 squads of Wolfen with the shields, 3 squads of Wolfen with the thingy. So, one thing I would like to see, probably more so than points actually, is that in the next edition, the rule of 3 really gets looked at. Because I genuinely think there are certain things in armies that should be rule of 1.
That you can't take, yes, agree.
I think all you have to do is have a data sheet, have its cost, and then have another number on the other end that just says maximum squads. For example, Victrix Guard should be a 1 of only because it's supposed to be a command squad. And it doesn't make much sense having an honor guard for your captain. And again, you could do this to Marines. Again, you could control the amount of Marine spam by limit, and you could do it to us. You could control our Lord of Contagion spam by saying no. A Chaos Army should only have leading it in a warband a single Lord of Contagion.
One of them, because he wouldn't tolerate.
Yeah, he wouldn't tolerate one, and 100% it makes sense with a Lord of Contagion, Lord of Virulence, because they perform different roles. They would work together. Because that guy's specialized, somewhat he's specialized as well. But like in Marines, why would you have 3 captains in an army?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, what? Like, he's like, sir, we've got to storm the point. Why? Captain's orders. Which one? Jeff.
Or we've got to go and take that bunker. Let's send 3 captains at it.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. So, like, I would like to see things like, and it also makes it a bit more special, a bit more impactful. Stop certain things being so spammable as well. But like even to keep it fair, like Death Shroud, like again, if they start doing what they were doing, they were doing 18 Death Shroud, you could easily in a balanced data slate go bam 2 squads of Death Shroud max. Like if it's becoming that much of a problem unit, and then we can have maximum have 12 Death Shroud. Like it gives you another lever to sort of balance things. Like Rogel Dawn, like oh my god, an army shouldn't be able to have 6 Rogel Dawns. You should have 3 normal ones and 3 commanders. There's too many Rogel Dawns. Like, 1 commander and probably, like, 2 normal maxes. Max you're ever going to face is 3 Rogel Dawns. And that's still a bit annoying. Like, and there is more convoluted ways like this. You could have it where, like, you could attach more of the clauses that we see where it's like, if Typhus is your warlord, Poxwalkers can become battle line. But then it gets messy of having to, like, combine certain things. Like, you know, does the Rogel Dawn tank commander now let you bring 2 Rogel Dawns instead of 1 Rogel Dawn? But that, again, you've got to tread the balance between, like, accessibility and complicated, and I just think putting a number next to how many things you can spam of a certain thing would be so much easier because it just means
that'd be a really easy data sheet reference.
Yeah, it's just there, and the good thing is you wouldn't have to kill units.
Number.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have to kill units either because the problem is right now if a unit is just too good, you have to just kill it dead with points. You raise the points until it's just dead, whereas now you can keep it at semi-reasonable points, but just go bam, you can only have 1 of them. So you still get to enjoy and have fun with that unit as strong as it is, but you just can't spam it. Which, I know, I would rather see that rather than the current thing where it's like we price it until it's just not taken anymore, and we'll deal with it another day. So, I'm not sure. It's an interesting one, but I would love to see them sort of approach the rule of 3 a bit differently. I think it's a bit dated at this point.
Yeah, and to be clear, everybody, anyone who's joined a little bit later in this conversation, we don't know any of this for a fact. This is us kind of talking about 2026 ahead. What do we think is could happen? Do we think it would be a logical bit? So some of this stuff we're just chucking around the room to see what we think, what could do. But it's really interesting. How did the poll go, by the way, Aiden?
Let me end the poll. So really interesting, actually. It is 49 to 51%.
Wow,
which is way different than I thought. I thought it would be quite landslide.
But interesting. I think and a few people in chat said this earlier on. Is I think a lot of people there's a huge amount of players come in 10th.
Yes, and
so I completely agree that what they don't want to do is and this is why the kind of 0.5 edition update should be good.
Yes,
is not seismically change the game for all the people who have come in and started playing 40k. That's not a good That's not a good move. And they did see a giant growth in the game in the last couple of years. So I think they have to be very, very careful and cognizant of that. Also, Chris Villata, strong boy, how you doing? He said, I agree largely with what you're saying about honor guard units, but I think these should be based on what types of characters you have in the army. Really, we just need to force org chart back.
So I am a sucker. So I think one of the more interesting things, and this is me being heresy brain for a little bit, and I don't really play heresy. Like I just like certain things about it. Is I think one thing that GW don't do enough, and I think can be a great tool, not only for like balancing reasons, but also for sort of creativity reasons, is here is a set of rules. Here are the bonuses. Here are the restrictions. I would love to see things that trade power for certain things. So here are the rules to make this, detachment, like make your Terminators and your Marines better than normal, but you can't take any Poxwalkers or chaff at all. You are the elite of the Death Guard. Like, because I feel like restrictions breed innovation as much as freedom does at the same time. I don't want to see people getting completely shut down, so you have to be careful with restrictions. I don't want it to just be like, you don't get to have fun your way, but I didn't mind at the same time when we used to have things which were trade-offs. It's like, you get X rule, but you lose this. I think that's an interesting way to go about it. But again, it's a hard one because the more levers there are, as you said, Dave, the more potential we can turn people off. And like even though I've been playing for a lot of editions now. I'm not as old and grognardy as most people out there for a lot of them, but I also don't want my idea of the game. And I'm a bit jaded about certain things with like war traits and relics. I miss them, I really do. I feel like a lot of the units today's game just feel a bit too the samey as each other. But I can put that aside for being able to have more people in the game. Because I would rather people be able to enjoy the game and me lose a little bit of that immersion. But at the same time, like, don't take it too far. Like, don't oversimplify everything. It's a like as we keep saying, it is a big balancing act, and it is a bit hard. They are as much as I don't want to sit here and apologize for the company, because I'm not going to sit here and defend corporation, but like they have a hard task to do.
They do, but they have been doing this for what 25 years or whatever. I'm not saying that makes it easier. The more you add to the game, the more it's difficult to balance. The more you change, then the bigger it gets. You change one thing down the pile, it's like changing a bit in a line of code, right? It destroys what it's doing. So there is a huge amount of work to be done with it, but there is definitely a balance between them going, make it accessible so new people can join and can get up to speed quickly. But you're right, 40k is inherently a very complicated game. Yeah. I was intermittently playing with somebody, and it took them 3 months pretty much to teach me to play the game to a point where I wasn't fucking up every turn, right? Doing something stupid, where I was actually like, I know how far my stuff moves, I know this, and now I've got to drill, strength versus toughness into my head and know whether I'm wounding something or not, and can play the game in a fast way. Because even for a 3-hour, tournament game, new players will, the first thing they all do is they struggle to get through the turns, right?
Yeah.
So, and that can be a big turn-off bit. And I know people can play casually and can learn, and they should. But yeah, the where this game becomes fun when you want to take it to that outside of casual level is mastering the technicalities and being able to see the intersection of rules and movement and steps ahead and opportunity for reserves and ranges and coming up with that strategy on the fly to compete. And it's, that's what makes the game fun.
True. And there's a great point that's been up in chat here, and I want to talk about it real quickly because they said it's Patrick Dillon saying, how about reducing the prevalence of D6 damage shots, wounds, etc.? How about a friggin' flat number? So I half agree, half disagree. So again, if you've not been playing long, what you need to understand is back in the day, randomness is kind of essential to the game. Now, it can be frustrating, it can be annoying, and I understand there's nothing worse than rolling a 1 on your D6 damage shot, but at the same time, this is no way near as random as... Yes, that's even worse. But it used to be a lot more random. So back when I played in 7th edition, if you brought a Psyker, you didn't get to choose, because you basically had spell tables back then. You didn't get to choose what spells you took. You got to choose what spell table you will roll on. And at the start of the game, you will roll dice equal to his basically wizard level and get those spells. So if I look at a thing and I'm like, boy, I want Iron Arm on Biomancy, hope I fucking roll it. And if I don't, get fucked. Like that.
Yeah,
that
that
was
character's now a total waste.
yeah, literally. And Warlord trait, random baby. You just rolled on the table at the start of the game, see what your Warlord trait was for this game. So they literally they weren't even close in power level. You could have one that's like you could infiltrate 4 units in your army, any 4 units. Fuck it, why not? Wow. And the other one, which is your Warlord has +1 wound. Woo! It's so we've already brought away that, and there's an argument a lot of people say like to move away from the D6 system, which I both agree and disagree with. I don't think they'll ever do it because the D6 is just accessible. You can sell D6s, you can get D6s. Everyone understands what a D6 is. You go to someone at D&D, and they got all the D20s, D10s, D-fingers. Like anyone that doesn't know anything about nerd life or like D&D can look at that and be like, ooh, that's an extra level. Like a D6 is bad enough. I'm not a nerd. I'm not playing with that. But I do think that the game struggles to encapsulate all of its feelings inside a D6 though. I do understand that. I agree. I would prefer like a D10 or something like that because it would allow you to disparage between like a Custodes and a Terminator. Like because Custodes probably should be better than just a Terminator stat line, but like that's what they are these days because we got a D6. You can't give them a 3-up invulnerable because that's way better than a 4-up invulnerable. But if you're back on D10 or something, you could have a 5-up invulnerable, and they could maybe have a 4-up invulnerable. Isn't this? They still have 3 fail states rather than just 2. But at the same time, it's a hard one. But it does. It's the problem I have with like taking all randomness away though is like we get to a certain point, especially with the amount of rerolls we got these days. I already feel a lot of the time when I get shot by something, I just look at it and go, right, that's dead. Before he's even rolled the dice, I'm like, I'm dead. Like, that unit's dead. Or I'll do the same. I'll just about my 10 Plague Marines. And, like, I'll roll it, but I might as well just tell the dude to pick his unit up. Like, he's dead. So, if we added even more, like, the only time I have to roll something is, like, the melter guns, and I'm like, right, let's see if I can one-shot this transport or something. But, if they were, like, flat damage, there's a good chance I could get to the point where I'm just like, yeah, that's dead. So...
Yeah, and I think more importantly is... those moments that you have where you talk to your mates after an event where you're like, you will never believe what happened on this. Like, I had one thing left. He shot it with a D6 weapon. He rolled a 1 to hit it. I survived on 2 wounds. And then in my turn, that unit went on, took the point, killed his unit off of it. Like, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
If everything's flat. Like, you don't get those moments of madness. Or when you do a Hail Mary and you need a 6 to kill this thing, which is going to win you the game by a point, and you have to roll a dice and get a 17% chance of getting it, and it happens, or you get it on the CP reroll, and then suddenly the game's flipped on its head. If everything is the more structured it gets, we talked about this in the episode last year, I think, which was that the game at the moment is about the mitigation of the impact of randomness, and through planning and movement and your own kind of approach. That's what makes the game a challenge and exciting at times. And really frustrating at times because you can't control randomness. So you have to do your best to it. The less randomness there is in the game, the more formulaic it will become. And you will just see more and more archetypes. So less archetypes of forces because they are more statistically reliable. And you'll just see the same lists over and over again and people not taking armies that are less reliable.
Yeah, agreed. And Johnny says in chat, you never played when there was a psychic phase. Was it something beneficial for Death Guard? Now, the problem with Psychic Phase is, and the reason they can't get rid of it is, you would sometimes play against, like, Tau, and if you had Psykers, you would just, like, get fucked, you don't get to do anything. I get to cast all my spells, and you don't get a single say in it, which was really funny. But then the opposite would happen where, like, you're playing Death Guard, who can bring some Psykers, but we're not exactly a Psychic faction, and you came across Eldar and Grey Knights, and they were like, you can't cast anything, because I'm way better at Psychic than you. Stop. Denied, and you're just like, cool, I just paid these points for Psykers, and I can't do anything with them. Now, I liked them, and I think thematically it was fun. I enjoyed the casting and like the reason of like perils in the warp. Like basically used to be when you cast a spell, you roll 2 dice. Well, it used to be, but back in the day, you used to roll as many dice as you level, and you tried to get 4-ups for warp charge level. But let's go for the simple version, which was like 2d6. And if you roll like a double 1 or something, you basically, in 8th edition, you just took mortal wounds. So back in the day, you used to roll on a table called the Perils of the Warp, which could be anything from your guy actually getting supercharged and getting armor bane, flesh bane, basically, which is wound anything in the game on 2s, vehicles and infantry, and just go psycho for a turn, as the Warp gives him basically super steroids, all the way to rolling a a double one, in which case your guy literally just implodes.
Yep.
One of my favorite memories ever is I was at a bank. We're at a bank holiday, a one-day tournament at a GW store.
Right.
It was 1,000 points only. And I was playing Chaos Demons back in the day because I played. And I came across Grey Knights. This is back when the rules were more about the fluff than fairness. And all Grey Knight stuff was anti-demon. Like, you just got owned by them. And I was like, crap. So my 1,000-point army was quite balanced at a few things. Now, he had a Grandmaster and a Dread Knight, which was like 700 points of his army because it had everything. It was kitted to the teeth. It had every relic, every warlord trait. It probably wasn't even legal, but again, none of us knew what we were doing back then. And GW didn't care back then about balance. It was like, fuck it. So this thing was like super, super mega chumps. Now, he rolled his first ever psychic thing to teleport this Dread Knight on his first turn. Now, if you were playing demons, the warp the warp was a little more different. So at the start of the turn, I'd roll 2 dice, and basically the idea would be the warp storm that's going on would have random effects on the battlefield. I can kill my own guys, I can do random damage, I can make the terrain hard to go through, all that sort of thing. I rolled a double 6, which is demonic possession, which is randomly select an enemy psyker. Now he's got his Dread Knight, and he's got 2 other squads of psychers, just 2 other troop squads. So I roll a d3 and I get the big Grandmaster Dread Knight. I'm like, okay, so it's him. So he has to take a leadership test. He needs like a 5 to pass it. He rolls it and he fails it. So he's like, cool, what happens? So then I remember visibly like just looking at a book, because I never had it happen, and I just read it out audibly. The chosen psyker is immediately slain and replaced with a herald of demon of your choice. So he literally just had to pick up his 700-point character, replace it with a Herald of Khorne, which then charged the nearby squad and killed a bunch of them. And I was like, cool, I just literally won because get fucked.
Because I rolled double 6 at the start of the game.
Yeah, so I don't want that much randomness back, but it was very, very funny. And the guy was very upset about it, so it was very, very funny. So yeah, it's Deep Strike Mishap, for example. So there's a balance, as we keep saying, it's so much of a balancing act in all this between fun rules, crazy rules, and complexity. But I agree. Like, there's a couple of things I'd love to see rerolls. Like, if a generic rule came out that was like, hey, any rule that relates to stuff rerolling all hits, it's now 1s instead.
Yeah, or doesn't work on this unit.
Yeah, like just more restrictions on certain things. Like, I would be much happier. Or as Dave said a few times, actually, more ways to stop things rerolling against you. For example, like, remember when we used to play last edition, you used to have Mortarian's Chosen, and he had the aura around your warlord where no one could reroll any dice.
No one could reroll. Yeah, that's what I mean. I think that debilitation thing could be good, and you could write it in a way that other armies then would have a benefit of that kind of thing.
Imagine that in Mortarian's Hammer. Just pick the 2 best units like you two and never re-rolling anything for the rest of the game.
None. And the other thing I'd say about the psychic phase, just on a final point of that, is I think the other reason it's removed because it was another phase in the game.
Yes, it was, yeah.
And if you were playing against, like you said, if you're playing against 1,000 Suns or something, and you're like, cool, I'm just gonna have a little sit down.
Oh God, 1,000 Suns psychic phase. You're like, I'll go get a brew. Just tell me when you're done. Like, I had to sit through so many of them. Just like, you're just getting out all these cards. You're like, you don't even know what you're casting, do you? He's like, no, I don't know what I'm doing. And he's like, okay,
hang on a second.
I'll just sit here. That's fine. You used to be able to move terrain and everything with psychic. It was so funny. So I feel like where the game's at today, though, is overall, despite lacking a bit of flavour that I missed, it is overall better for majority of people.
It is.
I think. I feel like Horus Heresy and stuff like that has the sort of the narrative flair more if people wanted to go that route. But I understand the streamline and why it has to be done, which is, it makes me a little sad sometimes, because I do remember like fondly that story about the the Dread Knight and whatnot. It was funny, but at the same time, imagine that happening at like a finals of LVO today. Like, I win LVO because Richard Siegler's fucking thing blew itself up on a random 2d6 roll. Like, the internet would be outraged. I'd be like, I had no right in winning that, but I just did.
Yeah, but I mean, like, I think dice was. I mean, I had. 9th edition, I was playing into Demons, I was playing Be'lakor, basically used his ability to turn off Morty's invuln.
Oh, yeah.
So it went to his armor save, and then Be'lakor hit Morty with everything, wounded Morty with everything. I think it was 7 saves I had to make. Yeah. So they all went to 6-ups.
Yeah, AP4, yeah.
Because it was AP4, and I rolled 7 6s in the and then hit Be'lakor back for 41 damage. And it was like, that was another example of being like, he should die here. And then you see like a randomness element like that happen, and it just completely. My opponent was just like, "Cool, that's Mortarion dead." Blah 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 blah, and I was like, "Nope," and Be'lakor's dead twice over. You know, and it was like you wouldn't if with kind of flat damage levels, like because also you know Mortarions with it was like a certain amount plus an amount can help pushing through. But yeah, I think randomness is good, and it makes the game, it makes those moments tense. Like you said, instead of going,
you have to remember that randomness makes the stories. Like Dave wouldn't have that story. I wouldn't have my story.
No.
Like if things were so set in stone, like he'd tell that story and be like, "Yeah, Morty survived," and everyone would just be like, "Well, yeah, that's what that math say he should survive." Like the reason the story's cool is because Morty should have been dead to dog shit, right?
Should have been dead. Yeah, completely. No.
Like,
and then in fact, Morty living then wins the game for me.
Yeah, and it's frustrating as for your opponent, admittedly. Like he also has the story because the thing is, he can go back and tell his mates, "I only lost the game because he scammed me." Like, but like at the same time, don't forget, brother, you've probably scammed 500 people yourself. Like I've done it. Yeah. I've been scammed.
So that's the story as well. It's like you're like you know, oh, I did this and I like set it all up and I took away his armor save and he effing rolled 7 6s.
Yeah.
Like then that becomes a story for that person. See, I'd like to see more of that, but yeah, I mean, look, we shouldn't have that long to wait. We're going to be in 2026 real soon.
We're probably going to start hearing stuff
maybe,
about it, I reckon.
We're definitely going to start hearing stuff from GW, and also if you look at where the game releases are coming as well, the video game releases are coming. They're all coming around the middle of the year, so that feels like things are going to tie in. You know, if they're, and I hope they are, and I know, so I've met the head of licensing for GW for gaming and stuff. So, I mean, he's a good guy. Like, hopefully, that stuff is all going to be tying into the release of kind of 11th. So, yeah, we'll see where it goes. But it's exciting times ahead, and you know, and in the lead up to it, if you're newer to the game, don't panic that the game is going to, you know, kind of you're not going to be able to play the game, or you can lose all your models. Don't worry about that stuff. I think it'll be a case of just keep practicing the game. You know, keep you know, if you're in the Discord and the chat, like keep talking to people, keep learning stuff, keep trying out new rules, new tactics, new units, and just get ready for it as it comes. It will be what it could be. We're not going to change it with what we want. You know, we just have to deal with it as it goes, and we'll all be here and go through it with you.
Yeah, we'll all be learning together. That's the exciting thing. We'll all be learning absolutely together. Doesn't matter you're brand new to the game or you're like me and Dave been playing for ages. We're all starting at the same point again.
We all get to start again.
Which is always fun because like right now I'm in the waiting room. I'm still playing, just chilling. Not super interested in going dead hard at tournaments, but when that edition drops again, you bet that spark will be right back 100%. As it always is.
Dials goes back up.
It is. So right, so we're gonna wrap up here then for tonight because we're approaching just over the hour mark here. So anything you want to sort of add on to the end here, Dave? So I will say very quickly, I didn't go to the RTT on the 27th. Family stuff got in the way. Had a way too busy Christmas. So the RTT where the stream's going to make my list for is, Oliver, correct me, I think it's the 18th of January at War Games office. So we will have the stream before then where you guys get to decide what I'm taking. Good, bad, whatever you want it to be. Can even be Votan if you want. So you guys can still get to decide my fate. So we've not forgotten about that one. Do not worry. So that is still coming up. I've got a video coming out. I'm going to try and get it up tomorrow. Streams are obviously back, so I'll be doing a plague surgery this Sunday, coming up, Blight surgery for our Blight Lord members, and obviously anyone that comes along and have some time, I'll try and look at their lists. Part of that, though, anything from yourself, Mr. Dave?
No, just I think one of my wants for 2026 is I'm aiming to is to be back at LVO.
Ooh, that'd be cool.
So yeah, I'm hopefully going to be doing that. That's my main kind of want for that. Whether I have to sacrifice LGT or whether I go insane and try and do both, we'll see. But yeah, that's kind of it. Just to kind of get on and get prepping for 11th. I'll just do a real quick rundown of our last bit if you want, and then we can jump out. So if you want to support the channel, as some people have tonight, please do join and become a Plague Marine. It starts at $2.99 and like less than a cup of coffee. Gets you into the Discord where there are 1,520 people just like you who love Death Guard and want to get better at the game.
Lifetime access as well. You don't have to keep paying.
Yeah, exactly. You get once you're in, we will never kick you out. And if you want to support the channel further, there is a Blight Lord tier and a Death Route tier. The Blight Lord tier gets you into a surgery where we can look at lists. You get to look at YouTube members content. We give people options on what do you want to see, what else is going on. There are competitions and giveaways inside the Discord as well. And the Death Route tier is a little bit higher, but that is just you basically saying, I'm a Blight Lord, but as a Death Shroud, I'm kind of just supporting the channel because I love what you guys are doing. So please do look at that. Link in the description for everything I'm about to talk about. I'm going to rattle through it. You can head on over to Vanguard Tactics, who Aiden and I both play for. Just go and check them out on YouTube for free battle reports, 2 a week, an academy for new players to sign up to. And if you want one-to-one coaching, you can book that with Aiden, who is the Death Guard coach for Vanguard Tactics. If you want to get hold of merchandise to support the channel, like the now right size hoodie, you can get that at drpstore.com. Check that out. We can ship dice from Baron of Dice. I get a certain amount in from those guys and then ship it for Europe because it's a hell of a lot cheaper than buying it direct. If you're in the US, go to Baron of Dice directly, link in the description, and they will ship straight to you. Saltar Games, I've been a long time friend of the channel. These guys make Disgustingly Resilient podcast branded gaming aids with measurements, kind of tokens, all that kind of good stuff. You can check it out, link in the description below. And finally, I think Element Games, Will is over there tonight, which is why he's not on stream with us. But those guys, if you use the link below and purchase any of your models or new elements you want from those guys, a small kickback does come to the channel to help support us. And I think, in a very fast way, that's probably it. Apart to say, probably, Happy New Year to everybody.
All right, we shall probably see you all next in 2026. So enjoy your New Year's. Hopefully you had good holidays up to this point. And yeah, as of this point, DRP is back in action, and we'll be back to give you a weekly Death Guard dose of content, keeping the eyes on the meta and all the things that are coming up for Death Guard goodness. Because guess what, New Year may be coming, but the army still remains.
Yeah, and also huge thank you to everyone who's helped us get to 14,500 subscribers.
Yes.
This year particularly has been great. We got to do the Codex launch, which was incredible.
I got to write for Warhammer Community. What the fuck was that about?
We got to write for Warhammer Community. We got NDA with Games Workshop for a bit to look at stuff, and you guys have all been fantastic. As you've seen, just looking as well. Dylan Kuhn 6312 member for 22 months. That's a prime example of people who have supported us like this. So thank you so much. Here's to 2026 and the channel growing even further. Thank you for your support.
All right, so everyone, take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your holidays on your New Year. Drink as much to make yourself like Dave at the start of the stream. And and yeah, for the rest of us though, we'll see you again very shortly. We are back in full scale thing. So usual
remember,
stream schedule.
Like, comment, subscribe, like, comment, subscribe.
That was a very, very, very jauntly.
Yeah, jaunty, jovial.
I'm gonna, Joe. That's what I was looking for. I'm gonna leave this before I end up saying something stupid like "tatty bye" again. All right, take care everyone for now. We'll catch you all on the next one. See you later. Bye bye.
In the void, where the warp winds howl, a fleet once noble, now destined to fall. Grave wardens stir, betrayal takes shape, Typhon's whispers, sealing their fate. Navigators lost to the shadowed lie, a fleet adrift beneath a darkened sky. The warp's cruel grasp, unyielding and tight, chaos awaits in the endless night. Whispers of power, a pestilent tide, Mortarian's pride, with nowhere to hide. The destroyer plague, a grim reward, Nurgle's laughter echoes aboard. Bound by decay, they rise in his name. The Death God transformed, never the same. Plague-born sons with torment they bled, shambling forth where angels fear to tread. Mortarian stands, his sons by his side. Through agony storm, their oaths collide. Grandfather's hand, the pact is sealed. The Legion reborn, their fate revealed. Rise in the armor, rot in the soul. A Primarch remade, his heart grown cold. In terror's shadow, their war drums beat. Pestilent warriors, no chance of retreat. Through breach and ruin, their banners fly. With death's embrace, they'll never die. The Lion's Gate, where hope was torn. Jagged blade meets the blade born. Bound by decay, they rise in his name. The death god transformed, never the same. Blade-born sons with torment they bled, shambling forth where angels fear to tread. Typhus herald, chaos born, Mortarian's wrath, the plague sworn. In the one, their legacy thrives, eternal servants where corruption lies. Mortarians fall, Typhus ascends, the death god song, it never ends.